Philip, what more can you tell us?
Right, well, you're right. This is the third time that the US has launched attacks against what it says are Iranian militia and basically the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guards. Now, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards are there to protect Iran's interests and Iran's interests overseas. And they have been accused of launching attacks against US forces based in not only Syria but also Iraq. Reports from the Pentagon say up to at least 50 attacks have taken place since the 17th of October. So there have been 3 retaliatory attacks by the US, one on the 26th of October, one on the 8th of November, and then one on November the 12th. And the US has made it pretty clear. They say if Iran is going to carry on shelling US positions in Syria and in Iraq, then the US will take the retaliatory steps that it needs to protect US forces. Now, what we do know is from these latest attacks, at least 8 Iran fighters were killed and a weapons depot destroyed. And up until today, we know that at least 56 US service personnel have been injured in these attacks, but so far no reports that anyone has been killed. The question is, of course, are they going to stop these attacks anytime soon from the part of the Iranians? And most experts say that is pretty unlikely. This has all been exacerbated and carried on by what is going on in Gaza right now. They say that the number of attacks has been pretty constant over the past few months, and it doesn't look as though there's going to be any sign of a let-up, even though there are these warnings from the Pentagon and from the United States that Iran has got to stop doing this.
And Philip, why are US forces in Iraq and Syria?
Okay, well, there are 2 main reasons. The first reason is that the US is based not only in Syria, where it has about 900 troops, but also in Iraq, where it has a much larger contingent of about 2,500 troops. The reason that they are there is because they are fighting against the resurgence of ISIS, the Islamic State. That is what they are there to do, and to help train soldiers on the ground also to be able to fight against ISIS forces and jihadists. There is also another reason that is not completely clear and explicitly spoken about in the US, and that is to counteract against Iran's growing power in the region and its influence. And in particular, if US forces are based in Iraq and in Syria, that is going to complicate matters when it comes to Iran putting, for example, munitions on track to try to take them to Lebanon to supply Hezbollah, and up until now also to try to supply Hamas. Iran has said that it is not pulling the strings, it is not in charge of any of the goings-on that are taking place in Syria and in Iraq, saying that it doesn't give orders directly to these forces. But I think the bottom line here is that we're still seeing this standoff between Iran and Syria, Iran and the United States, who don't get on with each other at all. That's the least one can say. Iran describing the US as the great Satan. On top of that, Iran is supporting Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president. So that is another reason that Iran has a large influence in Syria. But the US is there to fight against ISIS. So it's a very complicated mixture of different groups all together in one country. And that is why we've seen these skirmishes taking place. This at the same time as the reports on Al Jazeera saying that there have been bombing raids by the Russians, because the Russians don't see eye to eye with the US having bases there, against rebels in eastern Syria as well, rebels who are fighting against Bashar al-Assad. So the whole situation there is rather volatile, and there's a lot of worries that what is going on in Gaza right now could make this a much more dangerous situation as well at the moment.
It says Bashar al-Assad is being re-embraced by the Arab world. Thank you very much for that, Philip Turle there.